Everyone is probably wondering what will happen in the next episode of the amazing digital circus. And when will this episode be released? About this, I shot a separate video recently. You can watch it. And now we're going to try to predict who we're going to have next. Who will disperse? After all, Kaufman was the first. At least he was one of the bunch we were shown in the digital circus. Before that, there were also characters who suddenly disappeared. And most likely, these are the same scattered ones who were in the basement besides Kaufman. A very interesting topic arises in front of us. What happens to the characters before they disperse? Are there really any prerequisites? And can they overcome this dispersion and get out of this digital circus? But what is dispersion really? Maybe this is the way out, and Kaufman the clown got out of this digital world, and his model turned into a glitchy monster. There are many theories on this topic. The main evidence can be found in his room. It's like he drew drawings where he's near the exit and even meets one of these glitchy monsters and turned into him himself. But the theory that scattering equals exit is not confirmed by anything yet. And so here we will consider dispersion from the point of view of death. That is, a character who gets into a digital circus can be said to die. They're all here for a reason. It turns out that each character embodies his own disorder, and they either have to overcome them or dissolve into this digital world, one of two things. Let's immediately move on to our charming, most calm and balanced character. By the way, he is one of my favorites, Kinger. Most likely, he will disperse next, and it is a great miracle that he did not disperse first from this group. He's the worst, crazy, psychotic, twitchy. He has every chance of dissipating in the next episode. After all, he is on the verge, but can this paranoid weirdo even go crazy and disperse? Of course. And what does he need to do to prevent this from happening? Is it logical not to go crazy? And how to do it if he has already practically done it? Once broken, you can't break it twice, and no matter how high the chances of its dispersion are, I still think Kinger will be able to overcome his fear, his endless paranoia in general. If you look at him like that, a normal type is quite reasonable. Despite his seemingly pronounced cowardice, he sometimes shows bravery. He calmly communicates with the Queen of Glinks, who is ready to eat him right now. He goes to save Zubul, and Zubul herself says at the end that she is surprised. They say Kinger should have dispersed first, as if it was a hint that he would stay with us until the end, and yet he will succeed overcome your paranoia. And maybe then, through overcoming your complexes and fears, you will be able to find the most cherished way out, and no matter what, I still think Kinger has all the chances. Google also has a high probability that it will dissipate, and if you think that it is enough for her to put on a mask of joy or a so-called mask of comedy, and everything will be fine with her. No, you're deeply mistaken. Maybe Angle is capable of changing faces, but still, I think her real face is a mask of tragedy, as the author himself said. The comedy mask is the most fragile, which may be a hint that these are her fake faces from the same author. There is some image where Gangle stands near the mirror and comedy masks are located around, but not a single mask of sadness. She is just on it. It turns out that Gangle should stop depending on its mask. I remembered that Christmas image under Glicia's post where Gangle receives a gift, and even in a mask of sadness she smiles. And I think this is the very face that we will be able to see at the end. If, of course, Gangle can overcome her despondency, which strongly resembles depression. But Zubul has a completely different problem. It just doesn't identify itself. She doesn't understand who she is. It, he, they. And, at this rate, until the Zubul accepts itself, it can dissipate. And, by the way, as far as I know, the authors have revealed to us that Zubul will be dedicated to the whole third episode, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe then she will have a choice to accept herself or dissolve into pixels. As we know, Zubul's has her own chest or box with the rest of the items that are part of her body. And maybe, through endless iterations of these combinations, she will be able to find her own, and in the end she will be able to please herself, or maybe she will eventually accept herself for who she is. Yes, it is unusual, it is unclear what, but isn't that what makes it unique? She literally can be anyone, in fact. If you feel like nobody, then you can be everything. And most likely, this will be her personal test. JAX. As for me, this is the most likely case with JAX that it can dissipate. And we all know perfectly well why. He pretends to be cool, but he's not really cool. He is not strong in character, as he manifests himself in malice and ridicule. And he himself does not miss the chance to mock others. For him, the people around him are a bunch of idiots, whom, on the one hand, he doesn't care about, but on the other hand, he needs them for his own self-affirmation, which is what he does throughout the pilot. And perhaps the whole series will be engaged. After all, he does everything to watch funny things happen to others, but not to him. And if it does happen, let's say something more serious happens that will force him to reveal his real face. After all, inside he may turn out to be quite offended, vulnerable, but this is what he does not want to show, what he hides behind a mask of coolness. And it is at this moment that he can dissipate. The trigger can be anything, either an overly difficult task from Kane or about the same story with glitched monsters, but only more serious. Let's say the basement broke down and crowds of scattered people began to get out of there, but this is as an example. This is not a spoiler. In general, anything can scare JAX, and who knows what will happen to him at this moment, how he will reveal himself to us. Maybe he will start to grow as a person. Eventually, he will accept his mistakes, apologize for his behavior, especially to Gangle, if, of course, he has the opportunity. And eventually, he will accept himself for who he is. And then, most likely, we will see JAX from the other side, from the good side. He is not a stupid character, that's for sure. Arrogant, but not stupid. But there is another point that JAX will finally go crazy. Subsequently, he will be able to become a real antagonist. But as for me, this will happen if suddenly other characters start joining a team. They are now not just roommates who have to see each other every day. These are the real brothers and sisters in misfortune, and already in this situation, most likely, JAX will be to move away from them. And when he has a chance to really open up, it will be too late. JAX will dissipate. Nothing is clear about Pomni yet. The pilot was a discovery for us, like a digital circus for Pomni. Therefore, we look at everything that is happening as if from her side. We don't understand anything yet. But maybe she didn't come into this world by accident either. She tried to get into the digital circus, but she did not expect that everything would be so realistic and even ironic that in the beginning she tried to get out by any means, going through all sorts of incomprehensible doors, and in the end, when she had a choice to leave or stay, she would choose to stay because Pomni would remember. And what was her life like before that? And why was she wearing this headset at all? Perhaps this really did not happen by accident, and the real world did not seem to her to be the one in which she would like to live. And here there will be a rather interesting plot. Perhaps even indirectly, the question will be addressed to us, the audience, and what would we do? Return to the real world with its problems, live with our problems, solve them? Or would we stay in the digital world, where in fact there are no problems? Everything is smooth and stable. The question is good, but what would you do? So what do you think about scattering anyway? Who's going to be next? Write your opinion in the comments. Well, don't forget to subscribe to my channel.